Welcome, fans, to episode 91 of Rangers Ed. This is your host, Cousin Ed, with my co-host, Little Ed and Coach Ed, and our producer, Mikey. What's up, boys?
How we doing, fellas?
On.
What's up?
Back.
Got Coach Ed with the new digs over there, looking fresh with a clean screen. No internet issues tonight. What's up?
Got the Messier corner on the screen.
Yeah, I like
the
that
Messier corner of the Ranger room.
I like that stocking too. How old is that?
I have no idea. me and Mike were rearranging the room. I found shit that I probably got like 5 years ago.
We never hung up.
That was a very nice cup we found. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, nice Rangers whiskey glass.
Coach Ed's got so much stuff.
And in
lieu more than me, even more than me. If you look behind me, he's got more. He's got a whole attic.
In lieu of All Star Weekend.
Oh, look at that. The 94 patch.
That.
Shout out to Oscar's Pro Stitch.
Yeah, you got to send that out to Oscar. Put it on a jersey.
By the way, I went to the Vegas Golden Knights game with Kathy and walking around the bridge area looking for a little schnecking, and guy taps me on the shoulder. He's like, "Hey, Coach." It was Oscar with an Eastern Conference All Star jersey.
Wow.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I'm watching the game, and Oscar sends me a picture of him and Coach Ed out of nowhere, and I was like, "Oh, that's awesome! You got to be kidding me."
Oh, you didn't go to the game with him?
No, I had to work that night, unfortunately. I probably could have gone and made it to work anyway, but I figured I was just going to be so tired. The train ride home is terrible, so I would have just dreaded going to work after that. So opted to watch it from my couch and let Coach Ed go on a little date night with Kathy. Seemed like they enjoyed themselves for sure.
Yeah,
it was definitely a good game to go to. Good way to.
Kathy's on a hot streak, doing up.
It's true.
It's a streak.
Very true.
2's a streak.
And three of her last four. 5 of her last 7.
6 of her last 12, Joe. Anyway, so we don't have that much to talk about as far as games. We're going to talk about the Toronto game and the Vegas game, but before we do that, actually, we also have a little surprise. We teased this. We're going to do an all-star draft, so we're each going to draft our all-time, based on only Rangers, all-time, 3 forwards, 2D, a goalie, and a coach. We got a little surprise on how we're going to do the order. We're going to snake draft it. So I'm looking forward to that. I don't know what kind of preparation everyone's put into it, so it should be interesting. But before we get into any of this, let's jump right into the jersey numbers, sponsored by Oscar's Pro Stitch Hockey.
Our buddy Oscar, a huge Rangers fan himself, started his company by stitching his own blue shirts. Once he perfected his craft and started to fall in love with his work, the man started to grow. Oscar stitches every jersey with love and dedication to authenticity, which never disappoints. His talent is hard to find in any store out there. Are you like Cousin Ed? You have a lingering jersey curse that every player he gets a jersey of gets traded or injured and hurts the Rangers team? You want to change things up? You want to take an Eric Lindros jersey and make it a vintage Ken Hodge jersey in the late 70s? Got an old jersey collecting dust in your closet? Want to throw your name on the back and add a nice number of one of your favorite players? You can bring it back to life with a brand new kit at Oscar's Pro Stitch. So head on over to Oscar's Instagram at Oscars PSH. That's OSCARS PSH to check out the countless tarps he's already done and to place the order for his next one that possibly can post on Instagram and get ready to wear it to the next Ranger game or any event that you have coming up. Tell them the boys from Rangers Ed sent you and receive a special discount at Oscar's Pro Stitch Hockey. Go get them, Rangers.
All right, Coach. I love that. So number 91, we actually have a current Ranger who wears 91, Sammy Blais.
He's getting a lot of love these last few episodes. Well, yes. I don't know about love, but a little bit of mix of both, I guess.
Nah, I mean, look, Sammy Blais, let's see what he does in the playoffs, and then I'll make a final judgment on him. But
that's fair.
If he's still here.
You're a fair man, Ed.
Yeah, I try to be reasonable, because it's easy for me to just complain about the Bushi trade and endlessly and blame it on Sammy Blais, but it's not his fault that Drury wanted him. So Previously, only 2 Rangers wore 91. Marcus Naslund, 2009, and Evgeny Grachev, a failed prospect for those of you that don't want to trade any prospects like me. A former failed prospect, Evgeny Grachev, 2011. That's it. Not much to say there. I mean, Marcus Naslund, is he in the Hall of Fame? No, right?
I don't think he's in the Hall of Fame. Yeah, I believe the Canucks.
He was really good for a while.
The Canucks retired his number though, for sure.
That's what it was. Okay, yeah. So something like that. I remember seeing.
And I definitely had his stick. He used to have a Bauer curve.
Yeah, so they signed him to like a 3 or 4 year deal, the Rangers, and then he just retired after a year or two. I think it was only 1 year, and then he just retired.
I loved him. Obviously, his glory days were with the Canucks, but I always liked him on the Canucks. I was excited when he came to the Rangers, but obviously I didn't have much left in the tank.
Is what it is. But anyway, so only 3 Rangers have worn the number. Prior to the last episode, 26, 14, and 7. They went 1-0-1 in these 2 games with Toronto and Vegas, 2 good opponents. 27, 14, and 8 on the season, 62 points, 3rd in the Metro, 10th in the NHL. The Rangers sent down Will Cuylle to participate in the AHL All Star game and get some games in while the Rangers are off. They don't play again until February 6th. So we got a little bit of a break. It's the Rangers bye week. For those of you that don't know, every NHL team gets a bye week now. It's a recent change, I think a year or 2 ago. So this is the Rangers bye week. So we started out in Toronto, 3-2 overtime loss. Tough.
Wait, I wanted to comment on that for a second.
Sure.
I think the bye week leading into the All-Star break for them, I think that's a good benefit because I think like breaking for the All-Star whatever game, like the long weekend, however many days it is, they were talking about like how some teams are starting to heat up now and then they get like that break. So I like that the Rangers have the whole break to get it out of the way because if they come back from the All-Star break, they got a little hot and then they all of a sudden have to sit out another week. I feel like that's bad timing. So I'm happy that they're getting it all out of their system so they can get into a groove going to the playoffs the last half of the season.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's not bad.
I don't know about that. That might be too long of a break. I think that could go either way. It's going to be interesting to see how they respond.
Well, I mean, now they're just going on one long vacation as opposed to 2 vacations. So that might be
the All-Star
better.
break. If you think about it, the All-Star break itself is a break. So when you combine that with the bye week,
4 days.
Yeah. So when you combine that with the bye week, you get. I mean, they're all from the 27th to the 6th, and that's their only break. So to Little Ed's point, I think there is an advantage to that. It's just one break and then back to business versus getting the All-Star break, coming back, playing 3 games, and then getting another week off after that. I think that's bad. But I understand Coach's point too. You don't want to get rusty, but I don't think they will. I mean, they're probably on a beach somewhere just chilling right now, and deservedly so. And then they can gear up for the playoffs. We'll see. We'll talk about it. So I mean, they're home against Toronto, overtime loss 3-2. They were up 2-1, 2 goals by Filip Chytil. Toronto wins it in overtime. Mitch Marner with the game winner in that game gets the first star. And then home against Vegas, Coach, you were at the game, a 4-1 win. Jaroslav Halak, 33 saves in that game, number 1 star. So the Rangers go in on a winning note against a good opponent. Let's start off just quickly and talk about a couple things. So Filip Chytil, a little bit of a hot streak for Phil. 3 goals in these 2 games. Had that beautiful goal off the face-off. Coach, you think that was intentional, or you think that was?
I think it was intentional for sure. I mean, I don't think the other guy won it back. It was at the other end of the ice. I couldn't really see it. I didn't watch the replay on TV, but I'm going to say he did it on purpose. He seemed to be excited about it. So,
Little Ed, intentional.
I think that's one of those intentionally unintentional moments where, I mean, if it works, great. If it doesn't work, you did it by accident. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it's a nice play. So yeah, I mean, we can't take it away from them. That's hockey. I mean, finally the Rangers getting a little bit of puck luck, right? That's what we keep talking about. So it seemed like they got some puck luck against Vegas.
Well, he said it was intentional.
Looks like Mikey's got something to say.
I was gonna say, there's no shot that was not intentional. He definitely did that intentional.
That's what I'm saying. Like he says he did it.
Hold on.
that was a triple. That was a triple negative. I didn't even know.
remove the double negative and speak directly. There's no shot that
it wasn't not intentional.
Wasn't not intentional?
It it was
There's
intentional.
no shot that it was intentional, or it definitely was intentional. I'm
Was.
trying to understand. You think it was intentional? I agree.
Correct.
And he said it was. I mean, look, I don't think he thought he was going to score, but he said that he saw that he looked at the goalie. Goalie looked like he was sleeping, so he just threw it on net. I mean, not a bad play. Makes sense to me. I can't see a reason why he would pull to the right if not to put the puck on net on that draw from the left dot. But I mean, coach, 3 goals in 2 games for Chytil. He's up to 16 goals on the year, a career high. Looks like my 25-goal prediction might have been a year too early, but he looks like he's headed in that direction. You got to be pretty happy with his production. Maybe not his overall play. I know you're not a huge fan of Chytil, but at least he's putting the puck in the net.
Are we doing stars of the week this week? Because he could get the offensive star, but I don't think we're doing it, right?
No, we are doing it. We are.
Oh, okay, shit.
We have to do it.
Oh.
Well, we're not going to not do it when Chytil could win an award. You know, I wouldn't.
We're definitely not. Wait, we're definitely not doing it.
But yeah, I mean, just generally, I mean, look, I know you're not a huge fan of his game overall, and you have question marks about his awareness and his defensive abilities, but you got to be happy the kid's going to score 20 goals this year, right? He's 4 away from 20. So
talk about it later. I mean, I think I watched him live. Again, I always try to watch certain guys live, and we talked about him not getting his rink awareness, but he has been avoiding some hits that I noticed, and he's definitely playing well in the defensive zone with a couple of games I saw live in the last 2 weeks. So, you know, I got to give him kudos.
For sure. Little Ed, I mean, just overall on Chytil.
It's a short-term kudos right now. It's got to be over.
Consistency, right?
20 to 25 games or so.
Yeah, I'm very excited / curious to see how he's going to finish out the season. I mean, they're definitely finding that chemistry, all 3 of them. I mean, obviously, Chytil's leading the charge point-wise, but Kakko's definitely setting him up a lot. And Laffy, I mean, he's kind of getting the unsung hero in some plays where he's the one forechecking and recovering the puck down low and things like that. So that whole line's working real well. We talked a lot about it last episode. So if you haven't checked that one out yet, go back and listen to that one. But, yeah, I mean, I love the way that they're playing. I'm very excited about Chytil. He's on fire. I hope they take advantage of that, and hopefully he doesn't get or cool off during this long break like we just talked about. So hopefully he's able to just relax, recharge his batteries, and come back fired up. It's also a contract year for him, remember. So it could come back to haunt us if he ends up putting up 30, 40 goals.
Yeah, for sure. I don't think he's going to put up 40. 30, 40, I think it's a stretch
30.
too. But I think with Chytil, the Rangers have to look to sign him to a modest extension, not a short or long-term one, but maybe the Derek Brassard contract, 5x5 or 5x4.5 or something like that would be a good move. We'll see if he's willing to entertain that. But we'll see how it goes. For now, we got to be happy with his production. I know a lot of fans are saying, the Trocheck contract was stupid because they should have just given the reins to Chytil. Now, rewind before the season, and I advocated to make Chytil the second-line center and sign a third-line center. They chose to go get Trocheck, but Coach, Trocheck cap hit not terrible at only 5.6, and he's actually one of those centers that he doesn't have to be a second line center to be effective, right? Like Trocheck, if Trocheck ends up as the third line center now and into his contract, he can be an effective third line center as well as a second line center, right? I mean, traditionally, think about it traditionally instead of labeling lines nowadays. I know people don't like that, but traditional third line.
About to say in this day and age, the labeling of the top 3 lines, I mean, they're more or less interchangeable. So I think it doesn't matter. I don't think Trocheck's going to go, I'm on the third line. He's just in a better position on the team where he's needed, and he's fitting a different mix. Whether it's second line, third line, it doesn't really matter. I mean, I think Trocheck's line might have started the Vegas game. or the fourth line started the Vegas. It doesn't really matter. It's a matter of matching with the other team and how they're going to be consistent in that kind of situation. I don't think anybody really cares. If anybody cares, then they're not going to be a good teammate. So that's not what you're looking for in the chemistry.
Yeah, and Little Ed, the Trocheck, forget the numbering of the lines. I mean, if you just look at center depth, which is really important to be successful, you know, Mika Zibanejad and then Chytil and Trocheck in whatever order you want to put them. It's pretty damn good center depth if Chytil is going to be a 20-plus goal scorer. You know, that's really good.
Yeah, we definitely touched on that in a past episode too, where I don't have a problem with Trocheck being the third line center. I mean, what's wrong with a third line center making 5.6 mil, winning those important faceoffs, getting the little power play time? I mean, we definitely talked about it last year heading into the playoffs, where that faceoff guy becomes very important. And you could tell that Mika definitely worked on it in the offseason. He probably noticed that in the playoffs that he needed to be a little bit better. He probably noticed it when they decided to sign Trocheck, where it's like hint, like we suck in the faceoff circle. Like everyone's got to get better. So it's good to see that he's getting better too. So just signing Trocheck, it kind of rubs off on everybody else. Maybe he's helping the other centers out in that department in practice. Maybe they're doing drills together, you know? So he's very good. He's been at what, like a 58% clip or something like that recently?
56, 58, something like that, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean that to me, I've always advocated the importance of faceoffs for as long as I can remember. Like with my friends playing and stuff, I remember getting into an argument with one of my good friends that they're not that important, whatever. So I don't know. Like I said, faceoffs are a huge thing for me. I think that that's like a big value in itself on that contract. What?
No, I'm just laughing because faceoffs are like when you play the game. You know how important faceoffs are, but they are prone to be overvalued as well. They're very important in context, in situations. I agree. But when you start harping on like, oh, we got to get this guy because he wins faceoffs, like they have to do more than that.
Well,
right? Like
he does a lot more than that.
Trocheck does a lot more than just win faceoffs. That is just an important part of him. But his hard-nosed game, his speed, his forecheck, and he's got a good shot. He's got more than just the faceoffs. That's not the reason he's there. Like Craig McTavish is what I think of a guy like just to win a faceoff, pretty much. But I'm sure Coach will tell me he was better than just a faceoff guy. I was too young, but yeah, for sure, faceoffs are important, and he wins a lot of faceoffs on the power play too. Even though the power play has been great lately, he's there for a reason. So. Shifting from the centers, though, let's talk about Branden Schneider. I know, Little Ed, you had them in the doghouse last week. We'll get to that later, so don't comment on your doghouse picks or anything. But just Branden Schneider in these two games. I won't tease anything. No, don't. But he stood out to me moving the puck, the transition game. It's I look at the pairs, and I want to start with you on this. So you have Lindgren and Fox. You got your offensive and your defensive guy. Miller and Trouba. Both decent offensive players, but I feel like Miller's taking more of an offensive role, Trouba more of a defensive role. So look at that third pair with Ben Harper, who I don't love, but he's been effective. So I'm not going to sit here and bash him like I do Tenorti and Johnson. I think he's been effective. Whatever. Branden Schneider, also a defensive guy, I think, but he's really shown an offensive ability. So I was watching him closely. In the Vegas game in the second half of the game, I wish I had watched it the whole game, just on his transition ability. I think he's more, he's a little underrated in his ability to get the puck, transition it up the ice, and move it out of the zone. I'm just curious what you think about his long-term future, because on that pair, he's more of the offensive guy, I think. But I think he could fit either a defensive role or an offensive role moving forward.
I 100% agree. I think he should try and focus on both. Maybe not. I think with Keandre, we should lean a little bit more heavy offensively with him, just because it seems like he has the more natural talent offensively.
He used to play forward, Joe.
Yeah. So I don't know. Like we call Schneider Baby Trouba, right? And everyone says like before Trouba came to the Rangers, he was a little bit more offensive with the Jets, this, that, and the other. So I think he has an opportunity to step up and play both. I mean, also comparing him to Harper and saying he's the more offensive one out of the group, I think that's obvious. But Yeah.
Well,
I
just
mean,
his transition ability to me stands out.
yeah, that's what I wanted
Harper's
to say
part.
too. Yeah.
Because
No,
Harper's not
100%.
terrible on transition. He's not a cone,
No, he
but
plays well for sure. I like the way
Schneider
he plays.
is more mobile and moves the puck better.
Oh, he's just a phenomenal skater. He could definitely do it both ends of the ice. I mean, Coach, I can comment on this next, but he always harped on with me growing up or through college, and he always talks about it now, is the first pass out of the zone for a defenseman. And I think a big reason why Schneider's good at that is because he doesn't really have a lot of fear. He's very tough. He throws a body himself, so I don't think he's afraid to get hit. So he's going to make that play in the defensive zone corner and look up and make the play and make a good pass, as opposed to bracing himself for a hit and just sending it up the wall. You know, so things like that, that split second definitely matters, where he's not afraid to catch one.
And Coach, to tee you up on Schneider, feel free to ignore my question if you really just want to love him, because I know how much you love Schneider. But that what Eddie just said is such an important part of being a defenseman, right? I mean, the difference between a quality defenseman who can transition the puck and a guy who maybe can't find a role in the NHL, maybe like a Libor Hayek, who shows flashes of this, but not enough, is getting the puck in the corner and not just whipping it up the boards, right? Like looking up, making a play, having the confidence to maybe deke a guy or avoid a hit and get it to a forward, breaking out of the zone. I see Branden Schneider almost from the get-go in his career has shown the ability to do that. And when he does screw up, he's got that short memory. You know, I just love Branden Schneider's game. So I just felt like giving him some love in these games. He had 2 assists in the Vegas game as well.
I mean, if you watch him from the beginning, like we said, what last season when he came up, and when you're talking about that one pass, he makes these decisions in a small area in the corner, not just throwing it up the wall to the wing. He'll make that pass to the center. He'll make the right pass cross ice to his partner. He makes these decisions under pressure, like Eddie said, when he's about to get hit. He'll sacrifice that hit and make the little touch pass where it needs to be made. So it's not always that pass out of the zone, but it's the pass leading to getting out of the zone. And again, when you watch him live, it's just, I feel like Sam Rosen. I just get excited.
Yeah, he really played well in these games, I thought.
And I don't think that the key part about him talking about his attitude is he didn't come into the league saying, I have to score to be in this league. He might progressively get better offensively like he shows signs of, but he doesn't see the need to have to do it every time he touches the puck, which is a sign of maturity. And like everything else he does, he's ahead of his time in the maturity. He gets the opportunity, he joins it, he takes the shot, he gets a couple of goals, he gets an assist. He's not on the score sheet every game, but when he needs to be, he makes some moves.
And you know what's interesting when you're looking at forward prospects and those in the AHL, oftentimes we're looking at their points, right? Like Will Cuylle, how's he doing? How many goals does he have? You know, is he putting up near a point a game in the AHL? That'll give me an indication if he's ready for the NHL or whatever. With defensemen, I'm learning just as a fan and a hockey nut that you can't really look at AHL production to analyze a defenseman. You look at Branden Schneider. I just looked this up earlier, so I was curious about it. In Hartford, he played only 26 games with the Wolfpack, 2 games in 2020, 2021, and then 2 games last year, 24 games last year. 0 goals and 10 assists in those games. He was +8, which is a good sign, right? Because Coach, you love plus minus. And then with the Rangers, 7 goals, 17 assists, 24 points in 92 games. He increased his production in the NHL from the AHL. So I feel like when we look at AHL defensemen, we don't watch the Wolfpack, right? Like I don't know what Zach Jones is really doing in Hartford. I can look at his stats, and I could be like, oh, he's scoring on the power play. He's doing this. He's doing that.
He made the
All
All-Star team, I think.
He made the All-Star team. I could look at Matt Robertson's stats. I could see his plus minus. I could see his penalty minutes. But I don't have enough time to sit there and watch all of his games. So I just think it's an interesting note with defense prospects in particular. We kind of got to get a look at them in the NHL before we can really assess them. But the Rangers looked at Schneider after those 26 games and said, this kid's ready, and he hasn't looked back. You know, just an interesting note. Not really looking for you guys to respond.
I think the
unless you have a
long-term
response.
I think the long-term plan, I mean, wasn't defense because obviously they called him up without much offensive production in the AHL, you know? So I think the offensive production is definitely a bonus with him. I think the long-term plan is for him to anchor a pair with Keandre. You know, you got to think that's got to be the
great.
long-term. That would be a long-term plan with their age and Trouba's age. I mean, eventually he's either going to get traded, I would think, or become a third pair defenseman as the captain. So
At $8 million?
I mean, whatever. I'm just giving options. That's further down the road. I don't really want to talk like that right now. It's much further down the road. But that's what I'm trying to say is that I think that's the goal where they want him to play more defensively and let Keandre kind of roam free. Or at least that's what I would do.
I love that.
It's going to be interesting to see what they do because I think in the future, in about 6 years, he could definitely. I mean, you don't know what's going to happen with Lindgren. Unfortunately, who knows? I can't comprehend salary cap in the future or whatever.
I don't think Fox is going to let Lindgren go.
He's definitely in the top 4 on the team for the future.
Well, when you look at Lindgren, and we'll talk about this in the future, I don't want to go crazy on it, but Lindgren is at a point now where he signed I compare Lindgren to like Dan Girardi, right? Like that kind of a heart and soul type defenseman, better skater. I get it, but similar type impact. So when you look at where he is in his contracts, where Dan Girardi was, the next contract for Lindgren is not going to be the problem. He's probably going to get like a 5-year deal in the 4s or something like that. It's the contract after that where I think you got to cut bait with him around when he's 30 years old or something like that. So I think Lindgren will be here. I don't think they're going to dump Lindgren. But to Eddie's point, Schneider, for sure, Schneider and Keandre Miller as a pair with Lindgren and Fox, I mean, you're set. You're set in your top 4. You're set for a decade, right?
Yeah.
Or 5+ years, you're set.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, and then you just got to fill in the bottom pairs with maybe someone a little better than Ben Harper.
Well, you don't know what's going to happen.
Who's Brett Harper?
Or whatever. The bottom 2 could always be like the bottom 3 in the on forward. They always are interchangeable. Not always, but they can be. You get a veteran here or whatever.
Yeah, we'll get into that when we talk about the trade deadline and we get into the offseason about the future of the bottom pair. But all right, so before we move on to our All-Star things, a couple other things I want to talk about quickly. Jaro Halak, 5-0-0, 938 save percentage, 1.80 goals against average in his last 5 starts. After all the crap all of us gave Jaro Halak. And some of us were patient. I think, Coach, you were probably the most patient with Halak. I think, Eddie, you were somewhat patient. I was probably the least patient.
Shocking.
I know. Yeah, well, I'm pretty patient generally, but with Halak, I just wasn't.
No, you're only patient with Kravtsov and Hedel.
Young players. No, young players. I like to be patient. Not old players. No, I'm not patient with old players. But you know what? Halak had a horrible start to the year. There's no way around it. He let in some terrible goals. He had he was costing the team games. Igor had to start a ton of games and work up, get his workload up. But he's been fantastic lately. I think his agent tweeted those stats out. I think it was his agent tweeted out who's the hottest goalie in the NHL right now. It's Jaroslav Halak, and posted those numbers. So just a little shout out to Halak. I mean, I'm pretty the coach starts Halak against Vegas, one of the top teams in the West, going into a bye week and the All-Star break. No need to really sit Igor in that game, right? He's got like 10 days off. But he has the confidence to go with Halak. Coach, you were saying something about, I don't know if it was last episode or off the episode where you mentioned it to me. Benoit Lair kind of proposes a schedule. They talked about this, right? Someone talked about this. Was it you?
Yeah.
It was on NHL Network, right? Where the schedule is proposed and the coach approves it or something like that.
Yeah, I heard. No, I think it was the Gallant interview, a post-game interview. It might have been the Vegas game. Probably was. And he said they probably asked him a similar question to what you just said. Even though Igor has a day off or multiple days off, why did you go with him? And he just said, like, listen, Benny brings me a schedule at the beginning of the season with a with the proposition of who should play what games, and it's up to my approval. And usually I stick to it. Sometimes I make changes, sometimes I don't. I mean, I'm paraphrasing, but that's pretty much what he said. So I thought that was very interesting because it is something that we have talked about. Our coach has definitely brought up in the past where that's probably what they do. And yeah, that's what they do. Actually, I think Valley definitely has said it before on the broadcast too. But now coach is muted.
Yeah, coach trying to talk, but you're muted, bro.
So, yeah, I thought that was interesting. It's nice to get – you don't really get a lot of behind-the-scenes information from the Rangers, so it was nice that they finally did something, or we actually got an answer.
Yeah, it makes sense to me. The goalie coach would have a big impact on, you know, when the goalies start, and the coach probably rubber stamps it most of the time. But Halak's been great, and as a fan – I have pretty good confidence in him now when he's in net because of the way he's been playing.
Without a doubt.
Coach, did you fix your audio before I move on? No, he didn't. So we're going to move on. So in other news, Bo Horvat goes from Vancouver to the Islanders, not Rangers related. Thought it was worth mentioning. The deadline's around the corner. Horvat is on pace for over 50 goals this year. He gets Vancouver a conditional 2023 first-round pick, top 12 protected. Atu Rady, one of the Islanders' top forward prospects, projects to be like a second-line center, maybe a first-line center if he reaches the ceiling. And Anthony Beauvillier is gone, boys, to the Pacific Division. No more Anthony Beauvillier, Ranger killer. So Horvat goes to the Islanders unsigned. Are the floodgates going to open on the trades now? Because now I'm just reading nothing but Rangers rumors, right? I read John Scott said, go get Patrick Kane. Give up Lafreniere or Kakko if you have to. Like, are you crazy? Like, how stoned is John Scott to say that? I mean, give me a break, dude. And then I'm reading Timo Meyer rumors in San Jose, who I love, but he's going to cost a lot. So the Rangers are now rumored suddenly in everything. But just wanted to get your position, Little Ed, on the Horvat trade. What your thoughts are with the Islanders getting Horvat? They're not in a playoff spot right now. And they've played more games than any of their competitors for that last spot. So just curious.
Yeah, shout out to Sean over at Hockey Night in New York. He invited me onto his men's league team. So I'm going to play part-time for them, fill in when I can, as long as the games aren't too late, whatever, blah, blah. So, yeah, I think I don't think it really solves a lot of their problems. I was surprised to hear that he has 31 goals. I think that's kind of like not really like a telling sign, or what I'm trying to say is like I don't really think that's like a representation of the type of player he is, you know. So I don't really think that's gonna solve their problem of goal scoring on the power play or anything like that. I don't really see him as that type of player. Maybe I'm wrong. I guess we'll see. But I definitely am happy to see Beauvillier gone because I think he has like 20 career goals and 15 of them are against the Rangers or something like that. So that's definitely a good thing that he's out of here.
Yeah, I think they gave up a lot. I mean, Rady is like the Rangers giving up Othman. A first-round pick is, you know, it's a lot to give up in this draft. This draft, I've been reading some just general reports about the draft quality, and a lot of scouts are saying that a second-round pick this year is equal to a first-round pick in other drafts, right? So top 12 protected, that's great. But even if they get 13th overall, that's a pretty damn good player for Vancouver. And then on top of that, Beauvillier, who, is underperformed, but he's a younger player, an RFA contract, and a gritty type guy. Definitely a valuable player for Vancouver to get. But before we move on from this, I want Coach's opinion on this trade, and we got to fix his audio. So we'll be right back in a second. All right, we're back from technical difficulties. Funny story, Coach Ed's audio was actually working the whole time, except for that 1 minute where he was talking on mute. But anyway, Coach, your position on the Horvat trade, you got any thoughts on it?
Look, I don't get to see him that much. We're only going by stats, like you were saying, the AHL players. You see him on highlights, but like a few of my Islander fan friends are all excited, text messaging. No disrespect to Sean if he's listening, but to me, it reminds me of someone like a Scott Gomez, Chris Drury type of thing, where he's doing well on that team in that situation. Is he going to be able to put up those numbers playing on the Islanders with not the same kind of player, not the same kind of division, same style of play out in the Eastern Conference? Chris Drury was getting his 25, 28 goals. Gomez the same thing, and then they came here, and everybody thought they would be a savior. Maybe he will, but we don't know. It remains to be seen, obviously. But obviously, they're all excited, like they're getting Wayne Gretzky, and we'll see what happens.
I think that's a very good point. I didn't really think of it that way, but I mean, I don't know if Chris Drury is a good example because he was on the Sabres right before this.
Yeah, but he was putting up some decent numbers. He was putting up.
No, yeah, for sure. He was the star on that team. He was
on that team. On that team,
with Michael
him and Briere were putting up numbers.
Briere.
They were putting up numbers in that situation and that team, and then when you go to a different team with different, obviously with different players and.
Yeah, I guess for sure. Well, you said the Western Conference versus the Eastern Conference, but yeah.
My thing is that the Islanders are locked.
I mean, he's playing against Carlson on San Jose most of the time, and that's like playing against a cone. So
who's gonna win the Norris Trophy this year? And Eddie's gonna throw a fit when he does.
I'm gonna throw a fit.
But anyway, so
if he wins it over Fox, that's just
he's gonna. The Islanders, barring injury. So the Islanders are locked into a lot of mediocre players signed to long-term deals. They get Bo Horvat, who's a good player, really good player. I mean, I think he fits right in with their culture of style of player, but he's going to want 7, 8, 9 million on his next deal. And he's not a superstar, and that team I think is starved for elite talent, not really just like good players. They have a lot of good players. So it's more of the same for me. And they're not in a playoff position. I think they should be selling. I don't even think they should be trying to go for it. But Lamoriello, coach, is how old now? What is he, 80?
Yeah, he's like 80 years old for sure.
So he's probably like, whatever, man. Like, I got to win before I retire. So I'm going to just try to win. And he's got a brass set for making that trade. I think it's a risky move for the Islanders for sure. But
yeah, it's going to remain to be seen. Hopefully it fails.
Hopefully it fails. We'll see. But all right. So I'm really pumped to get into this all-star team thing. Before we do, one last point, if I may.
Why? Because you get to play general manager?
Yeah, I get to play GM. I love drafts. I'm a big fantasy sports guy. One last thing. We didn't mention this, but Will Cuylle, in his second NHL game, drops the gloves with Keegan Kolazar, who's a pretty good fighter, not a scrub fighter. And I wouldn't say he won the fight. I know a lot of fans say he did, but I wouldn't say he won the fight. But he held his own. Just reactions to the Will Cuylle fight. We'll start with Mikey. He's nodding very happily.
Yeah, no, I absolutely love that. I feel like if I ever get my chance to play in the NHL, I highly doubt it, but I would definitely drop the gloves my first game too. Good for him. Absolutely good for him. I don't know about that, but
well, if you dropped him with Keegan Kolazar, you would. Yeah. Little Ed. Just give your reactions.
You gotta love it, man. You gotta love it. He found his way on the score sheet somehow. He opened everyone's eyes. Obviously, I think. I'm not gonna say he cemented himself a position or anything like that, but I'm sure he's gonna get called up the next opportunity. I think everyone might have acted a little surprised when he got sent back down, but I think you summarized that pretty well at the beginning of the episode. So, yeah, I love him. I love the way he was playing, even other than the fight, too. He was playing a great game.
20 years old, coach, and he's like, whatever, I'm going to drop the gloves in my second game. You got to love that kind of stuff.
Well, Turk loves it. And you know the locker room loves it. When they went into the locker room between periods or at the end of the game, they were giving it to him. So, that just puts you in a position in the locker room where you're going to be not a favorite, but the guys are going to love you.
Yeah, and it's valuable to the Rangers to have a guy making on an entry-level deal who can play. He's got a great wrist shot. He can develop a little bit offensively. He's not just a fighter, but he's also willing to drop the gloves. I think it's important. You need that nowadays. So shout out to him. Good, good for him. And I'm sure he'll be back up soon. And I don't know if he'll stick this year, but he's definitely looking like he'll be a good long-term piece for the Rangers on their bottom six. All right. So Rangers All-Stars. So in light of it being All-Star week, we're going to do a little bit of a draft. We're going to pick the draft order. Mikey, we've teased this long enough. Bring out the device.
Hold on, we got a little intro.
Oh. Well, I'm glad you had that ready. So we got a
bring out the laser.
We got a little device. So bring out the laser. Show the fans. Okay. We see your chain. There it is. So we got the bingo ball. So the way we're gonna do this is we're gonna. This is where our sponsorship money goes. So we're gonna pull the 4 balls. So we're gonna announce the person. So it'll be like Little Ed. Roll it. Ball comes out. He'll get assigned a number. Then Mike, roll it. Ball comes out. He gets a number. And we're gonna go from lowest number to highest number in that order. And we're gonna snake draft it. So it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 3, 2, 1. And we're trying to pick Rangers All Stars. So we're not picking, the Ryan Reeves of the world, much to coach's chagrin. But that we're not picking those kinds of players. And we're focusing on their tenure as a Ranger. So, for example, there's been a lot of great players play for the Rangers who are Hockey Hall of Famers. Yari Curry, Luc Robitaille, Wayne Gretzky. The list goes on. The Rangers are renowned for acquiring guys over the hill who've had great careers. But we're focusing on their career as a Ranger. So if you take Luc Robitaille, you get Luc Robitaille's Rangers career on your team, not his Kings career. So that's the idea. All right. So
what are we? Is there going to be like a game we're playing? What's the difference?
No, we're just trying to see who can draft the best team, and we'll let the fans
whose
decide,
opinion? Right? In whose opinion?
In the fans' opinion.
They're going to vote on it. The fans are going to vote on it.
Yeah, we'll let the fans vote.
All right,
and
cool.
not only that, but we'll we'll also give our opinions of each other's teams. I'll be happy to bash coach's team at the end of the draft. All right. So
right,
3 forwards. 3 forwards.
Roll
You can
the
have 3
ball.
centers. You can have 3 centers, 3 wingers, whatever you want. 2D, a goalie, and a coach. So I would save the coach for last if I were you, but do what you want. All right, go ahead. Roll them out. So Little Ed. Let's go with Little Ed first, youngest to oldest. We'll do it. I think you're the youngest, right?
There it is.
Mike's the youngest.
Oh, so Mikey produces. This is yours.
Oh, come on. I was already spinning it.
All right, do it again. Put it back in.
56.
Right in the middle.
Mikey.
Lawrence Taylor.
56, Mikey. All right, Little Ed
Who's up next?
Other hand.
Are we on?
36. All right.
Zookie.
Who's up
Right,
next?
I don't hate that number.
Now, Cousin Ed.
Ooh.
62. 62.
Hags.
There you are.
Hags.
The water boy.
Last but not least, Coach.
And then Coach Ed.
Of course.
Number 1, 23.
23,
Adam
so-
Foxy. Coach
All
Ed
right,
goes
so
first.
the order is Coach Ed, Little Ed, Mikey produces, Cousin Ed, and then the second round I start. So we'll start with Coach Ed. You can pick any position. You're not locked into a position. You get first pick in the Rangers All Star all-time draft.
All right, so it doesn't matter. It could be a defenseman or a forward.
Any
It's up to
position
you because
or a coach.
You want to
or a
grab the
coach.
defenseman first because then we might be, it's kind of strategic on where you want to go. Mike, you got to get a clock.
I have to go with the captain, Messier.
Forgot about that.
All right, so Coach Ed takes Mark
off the
Messier,
board.
the first pick overall in the All-Star draft. Like the pick, Coach. I like the pick. All right. Next up, Little Ed. Messier's off the board.
With the second overall pick, we got to start strong in net. We're going with Henrik Lundqvist.
Enrique. I like that.
Shout out to Mikey Produces, my birthday gift maybe 2 years ago. signed Lundqvist card. Check it out.
And they're both up in the rafters. So far, we got all players up in the rafters. All right. So Messier and Lundqvist off the board. Mikey Produces, 3rd overall.
It's a steal from Little Ed, but I'm gonna go with Brian Leach.
You bastard.
That would have
You
been.
bastard.
That was my. I was going between those two for sure.
Yeah, I was going between Met and Leach.
I really wanted Leach in that spot.
Cousin
It's
Ed with the
tough.
4th overall pick. Well, now Cousin Ed's got number 4 and number 5.
So I go 4th and 5th. So I'm gonna go back to back with the gag line. I'm gonna go Rod Gilbert, 4th overall, all-time leader in points, easy 4th overall pick, and then I'm gonna go Jean Rattel. So I got Rattel and Gilbert, 3rd all-time in points as well. So that brings us back to Mikey with Leach as his only pick so far. You got it. You know who's off the board.
Going Adam Graves.
Nice.
Going with the 94 team. Mikey going with the recency bias. I like it. Great. Gravy's a good pick in that spot. All right, Little Ed.
I'm going to go with my right winger, Mike Gartner.
Mike Gartner. Interesting pick. Very interesting.
Why?
Okay.
He's one of the leading scorers for the Rangers, isn't he?
Gardner?
I didn't even
won
have
the-
him on my depth chart.
No?
No, Gardner's
I
way
saw
down the
him.
list.
Anyway, it's not a bad pick. He's a goal scorer.
No,
he
he
was
had
also the All-Star
170
MVP one year.
173 goals in 322 games as a Ranger. So he was a very efficient goal scorer with the Rangers and his whole career, but only 322 with the Rangers.
And I definitely saw somewhere that he won the All-Star MVP.
I'm sure he did. Go to Coach Ed.
I'm going with. I'm
You
going to
got
go
2 picks back to back.
I got 2 picks. Ooh, that's very interesting. I'm going with defenseman Adam Fox
Wow.
and I'm going with defenseman Sergei Zubov.
I mean, okay. Like, Zubov was great with the Rangers, but he had like 3 seasons with the team, dude. Like,
All right, so whatever.
all right, looks good. Fox and Zubov. Coach goes
Stanley
with the 2
Cup
righties.
winner with Stanley Cup winner with the Rangers too.
All right. And he led the team in points that year, so I'll give it to you. Back to Little Ed, Gartner and Lundqvist. Who are you going to add to your roster here?
Gonna have to go with Panarin. Very recency bias, but he's got the dazzles for an All-Star game and a lot of points.
Yeah, I don't hate that pick, only because Panarin has like 700 multi-point games as a Ranger or something like that. Sam says it every game. So, all right, Panarin and Gartner. It's a pretty good offensive unit you got there. Mikey, great. Graves and Leach.
I'm gonna go into this era. I'm gonna take the second best goalie on the board right now, and I am gonna take Igor Shesterkin.
Igor goes second for goaltenders. Wow. All right. Panarin and Shesterkin off the board. So, with there being only 2 other goalies to be picked and 2 really good goalies left, I'm going to pass on goalie for now because I'm happy with either one that is left. And I'm going to just go old school here. You know what? I'm going to just go. I want to take Bathgate. I never saw him play, but based on his stats, but I have Rattel and Gilbert, so I'm going to go with Hatfield and just round out my forwards. So I got the gag line completely. And I'm gonna go.
That's brutal.
And I'm gonna go with Ron Greshner.
Ron
On D.
Greshner.
Yeah, Greshner on D. 7th all time in points as a Ranger, including all players. Had 179 goals as a defenseman. Played 16 years with the Rangers. So yeah, he's definitely all-star all time here. All right, Mikey, back to you.
I'm taking the man that has the best mullet still playing to this day, Jaromir Jagr.
Mikey. All right, now we're even.
Wait, how many years was Jagr on the Rangers?
Not enough of a tenure for me. I mean, I went in a different direction than you guys. I get it, but Jagr, 319 points in 277 games. He only played 277 games as a Ranger. So, Little Ed, off to you.
I'm gonna go with. I know we weren't supposed to really do it this way, but I was trying to keep a well-balanced team with positions they were playing, trying to keep different errors. But I'm gonna have to go with the most recent All-Star, or not. He's not technically an All-Star, but he's an All-Star in our eyes year after year. I'm gonna have to go with Zibby as my center.
Panarin, Zibanejad, and Gartner. What a line. All right, Coach Ed, to you.
Do I get 2 picks?
You get 2.
Yes.
You have 2D and a forward right now. So you need a goalie, 2 forwards, and a coach.
I'm going with Marian Gaborik.
Nice. He was on my list.
Good Lord. We are just not on the same page at all.
None of us are. I was trying to balance it out from error to error. You got all old school guys.
I'm just going off the greatest Rangers of all time. I think that's all I'm doing. You guys are like, yeah, Marian Gaborik. It's funny.
And I'm going with. I'm going to give Eddie the goal. I'm going to give Eddie the goalie he wants. I'm going with a tandem of who won the Vezina Trophy together. Eddie Jockerman and Gilles Villemure.
Well, you can only go with one. So
no, I'm going with the tandem.
No.
They're splitting the game.
They won the Vezina Trophy together.
Yeah, okay, fine.
Yeah.
So
the tandem. All right, Little Ed, you're short on D and coach right now. I'm surprised. Being a defensive-minded guy, you went all forwards and goalie to start here.
Well, maybe I don't know, I guess. I'm going with Ryan McDonough. Get one of my defensemen off the board.
Had that great playoff.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, he didn't really have my captain whatever qualities, but that doesn't make him a bad captain. But
you're gonna put him with Dan Girardi?
I mean, you can't tip picks. Not allowed to tip picks in the draft.
All right, Mikey, off to you. You need a forward, a D, and a goalie. I mean, a coach. Forward, a D, and a coach.
I'm gonna finish off my defensive pair, and I am gonna pair Leach up with Dan Girardi.
Yes.
Of course.
I was saying Girardi because I didn't think anyone would pick him. And then
Dan Girardi, an all-star.
Damn it, Mikey. My favorite
of course. All right, well, being that there are no more goalies to be picked, I'm going to go off the board here, and I'm going to take Emile Francis
the cat
as my coach.
Gato.
I'm going to take him as my coach, and I'm going to round out my defense. There's a lot of good forwards left, so I probably should have went D early looking at this again. It's tough. I mean, I guess I'll round it out with James Patrick, would be my defenseman. I don't know who's even left here that would be all-star caliber. All right, Mikey, you need a coach and a forward.
So I am going to save coach for last. I'm going to go with the K-man here, Chris Kreider. Put him on my all-star team.
Another 50
Kreider,
goal
Kreider, Graves, and Yager for Mikey at the forward spot.
all the 50 goal scorers.
He's got all the. Well, I got Hatfield, so he's
Right.
got 3 of the 4. Little Ed, you need a D and a coach. Girardi's off the board. Mikey stole him from you.
Unbelievable, Mike. I'll trade you Mark Stahl for Dan Girardi. I guess I'll put Mac with Mark Stahl to round out my D.
God, the Rangers organization is just quite pathetic. I'm not gonna lie. It's been around 90 years, and we got 100 years, and we got Girardi and Stahl in our All-Star teams. Okay, Coach Ed, you need a forward and a coach.
Well, I'm going even though it's another center, I'm going with my man Espo.
I like Espo. He played wing too, I think. By the way, nobody took Brad Park.
Espo could take center.
Nobody took Brad Park or Harry Howell on D. We took Stahl.
Well, I was going to take Brad Park if you guys could jump me with Fox or Zubov.
Crazy. All right, Coach. You get to pick your coach now.
All right, and in the name of Uncle Pat, I'm going with one of the 5 Patricks who played for the Rangers, Lester Patrick.
So you have 3 goalies on your team. Because Lester Patrick actually played goalie in the finals, right? Didn't he?
Yeah.
He had to don the pants.
He did.
I
can't believe none of us took Brad Park. I was going to take him, but I looked at Patrick's stats and I was like, damn, he played 700 games as a Ranger. I'm a little shocked that none of us have him. Anyway, Ed, coach.
James Patrick was one of the answers to a trivia question like 2 weeks ago when Sam Rosen and Micheletti didn't get it and they were all flabbergasted. I think most played by a defenseman or something.
I was just looking. I'm like, damn, he played 670 games. He had almost 500 points as a Ranger. That's a pretty damn good career for a defenseman. Anyway, Ed, coach for you is all that's left.
I'll go
Who's
with
going to
AB.
coach? Yeah, I was going to say, who's going to coach Panarin, Zibanejad, and Gardner? You better not pick Tortorella.
Yeah, no.
You better not pick him with those 3.
Yeah, I was going between either AV and Tom Rennie, but I'll go with AV. Very offensive-minded coach for my offensive line. And the All-Star game's all about offense, right? We got to score a ton of goals. We got Hank in net. And
we got the
Mark
shutdown
Stahl.
pair and the goalie and the offensive.
Yeah, we got the shutdown pair and the goalie, and then we got firing up front, all cylinders.
I love it. All right, Mikey. Who's your goalie? I mean, who's your coach? Jeez.
Yeah, I took Igor before. But I am going to go with Torts. I think Torts would round everything off perfectly for me.
Tortorella with Graves, Yager, and Kreider, Leach, and Girardi, and Shesterkin. I think that would work.
Well, he hated Kreider, so.
Yeah, he did hate Kreider.
I can't believe no one took Richter.
Well, that's my last pick.
Oh, I thought you picked goalie already.
No, I didn't. I picked last, and my goalie's empty, and I'm taking Mike Richter. I knew I had Jockerman or Richter left, so I just saved it for the last pick. So I got Richter.
What about Beezer? I thought you would take Beezer or Richter.
So did I. I thought that would be your last 2.
What, the tandem? Before the expansion?
No, I thought when you said there's 2 goalies left, I thought those are the ones you were referring to.
I was referring to Jockerman and Richter. As the only, I think the 4 that were taken, you can argue Van Beesbrook over Shesterkin probably, but Shesterkin just hasn't played enough games. But he's got the Vezina, so I understand the pick. So we got Coach Ed. His forwards are Mark Messier, Marian Gaborik, and Phil Esposito. On D, Adam Fox and Sergei Zubov. In net, Eddie Jockerman and the Villemure tandem. Was it Gilles Villemure?
Gilles Villemure.
Gilles.
And then Lester Patrick is coaching that unit. Little Ed's got Mika Zibanejad in between Artemi Panarin and Mike Gartner. with Ryan McDonough and Mark Stahl on D, Henrik Lundqvist in net, and Elaine Vigneault, the coach. Mikey Produces goes with no center, doesn't value the center ice position or faceoffs clearly. Goes with Adam Graves, with Jaromir Jagr and Chris Kreider. Brian Leach and Dan Girardi on D, Igor Shesterkin in net, and John Tortorella coaching. And Cousin Ed with the gag line, John Rattel, Rod Gilbert, Vic Hatfield. I got all three. Ron Greshner and James Patrick on D, Mike Richter in net, and Emil Francis coaching. I'm a little surprised that I got all those old. I did not think that you guys were going to go
the gag
so
line
recent.
pin collection.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't think you guys were going to go so recent with those picks. I got 4 guys with numbers in the rafters. I probably should have taken Brad Park over Patrick, but I just got shocked at the last minute and I panicked. It's like when you do a fantasy draft, you got 60 seconds to make the pick.
You panic in the draft room. Imagine what Drury and them go through.
I mean, it reminds me of a fantasy draft. You got 60 seconds to pick. You're like, all right, I want, I'm going to draft Jalen Hurts. And then the pick comes up and there's a running back sitting there that you just didn't expect to be available. You start thinking like, oh, crap, the clock's ticking. Mike understands. The clock's ticking. You're down to 20 seconds. You're debating. Had this pick in your mind, and then you just pull the trigger, and it's not what you expected. And it is what it is. But so Brad Park not picked. I'm surprised Harry Howell wasn't picked. All the guys in the rafters probably should have been picked, right? Bathgate and all them. But we got the recency bias of Gabrick, Gartner, Panarin, Banajad, Yager, Kreider. All those guys were taken. So fans, let us know on Instagram. We're going to post it. Who everyone's team was. Curious who you guys think has the best Rangers all-time All-Star team. And we'll see where we're at. I mean, I hate to say it. Looking at these teams, I think Coach Ed's got the best team. I really do. Except for Gabrick. I don't think Gabrick.
I was going to say, we had a puck of Gilles. There it is. Coach Ed's screen.
Nice. There it is. I think Coach could have done better than Gabrick in that second pick. But
yeah, didn't we meet Eddie Giacomin and Gilles in the same day?
Yeah, we have Giacomin somewhere.
Should put those in puck cases.
I got to get the ball cases. I got like 15 autographed baseballs there. And the worst thing about an autograph baseball versus a puck.
It fades off.
Well, it's not just that. With a puck, you get it signed. And I feel like every puck I've signed, I know exactly who signed it. I'm like, I know exactly who this is. I remember when I got it signed. For some reason with my baseballs, I don't feel that way. I have autographs. I don't know who the hell even signed the ball. I know one of them was signed by Dan Ugla, who was a second baseman on the Marlins, for those of you that don't know baseball. I know he signed one. I don't know which one is his. I have no idea. I know the Pete Alonso one. I know that one. But I don't know. And I have a Robin Ventura one. I know that. And a Pete Alonso. I know that. The other ones, I have no idea who it is.
I recently have uncovered.
I guess we're telling the fans that we're Met fans now.
I recently uncovered the autographed Joe DiMaggio baseball.
You have that?
Yes, we do.
Why don't you put that for sale on eBay for like $100,000 and see what happens?
I don't think it's worth that much, but if it was, I would do it in about 5 minutes.
I think you should just list it for an exorbitant amount of money and just leave it listed. It's free. Just leave it listed. And if someone buys it, you ship it off, you collect the money and call it a day. I mean, or you can just leave it to me in your will, one or the other.
We also have Cal Ripken Jr., but so does probably 5 million other people.
Yeah, I think Ripken would be worth less than DiMaggio, just because of the age.
Are we talking about baseball autographs now in this podcast?
Sorry. All right, let's move on. So we're skipping. You're right. We're skipping.
Cousin Ed's like leaning back in his chair. He's like, you know what? Yeah.
Talking about
could probably.
All right, we're skipping the broadcast banter and the coach's corner. Too short of a week. So let's jump right into our awards. Our stars of the week.
I didn't have enough time to make you guys an all-star draft board, so sorry about that. But
so we got our boards, right? Our stars of the week.
I don't
you got
have
your
my board.
I'm
Coach had
shocked.
left his in the other studio, in his other studio.
I am
Yeah.
shocked that Coach Ed does not have his board. All right. Offensive player of the week. Coach, you don't have your board. We'll start with you.
I have to give him kudos. I'm going with Filip Chytil.
Oh, my God. I'm going to retire from the podcast. That's it. Good night, guys.
Clip it.
This is it. This is the end for me. Filip Chytil. I love that. And I love how you leave out the I in his name every time you write it. I love that. I took Chytil as well.
Abbreviated.
I took Chytil as well.
No vowels whatsoever.
Three-
Actually, why
three-
the vowels?
3 goals in these 2 games, so I went with Chytil as well. Little Ed.
My
you
boy
got?
Heats.
I love it, and he draws the fire on there. Where'd you get the yellow and orange chalk?
Yeah, where's the yellow from?
I got my markers over here, man. The neon Sharpie markers.
Does it erase?
Expo neon. Yeah, it's just a special dry erase marker.
Oh, so you drew a little emoji for each one, I see, because I got
Yeah,
a
I
tease
drew-
of your next pick.
Oh man,
You didn't
I
hold it
fumbled
well.
again. All right, keep going.
Mikey
Yeah, I went with
produces.
Heats too.
All
went
right,
with Heats too.
Chytil across the board. Let's see if he can keep it up. All right, defensive player of the week. Little Ed, you already showed it, so why don't you show it again?
Baby Truba Schneids
Schneids.
with
I
the
love
baby
the
bottle
Schneids.
emoji.
I love it. I love it. I love the emojis too. That's going to be your thing from now on, I think. So prepare to do
I
that.
guess I
every
got to
week
do
now.
it. Yeah.
Hey, you set yourself up for every week. Coach
Set
Ed
the bar
also.
high.
Coach Ed also with the Schneids pick. Mikey.
I gave it to Halak.
Me too, bro. Me too. I gave it
Number 1
number.
star.
Oh, and he wrote number 1 star. I went with Halak as well. I'm making sure I'm not showing anything else. Okay. Halak as well for me. Yeah, I mean, he was awesome in that Vegas game, I thought. And yeah, he deserves some love. All right. Highlight play of the week. Little Ed. Couple of highlights
Run
here.
again.
Who's it going to go to?
I went with key contributors next.
Oh, that's right. You went out of order.
I don't know why
On
I
the
did
board.
that. I definitely saw it somewhere because I didn't just make up this order myself. I saw a key contributor first somewhere, but whatever.
Well,
My
okay,
key
so you're
contributor,
right.
He can
because I
did
already
this-
showed it. Yeah, Vinny Trocheck, and I drew a mustache emoji.
Vinny T.
Coach has got Halak, and we
for the reason- for the-
Trocheck's in a Halak. I love it.
Yeah, so Trocheck for me is I mean, we talked about earlier the face-off percentage, obviously, but I think it was the ability to drop back to that third line. I mean, we didn't hear any complaints, obviously, but he seemed to just step up his game from there and take advantage of his defensive abilities. Now that he doesn't have Panarin on his line and he doesn't have to worry about producing offensively. And yeah, he teach it like we try and teach this to our Stony Brook team. I mean, I try and talk to our men's league teams about it. If you play smart hockey, if you play good defensive structure, the opportunities will present themselves. You don't have to create the opportunities like he has to do with Panarin. So I think that's been working lately, and he's got to keep it up.
You know what? He fits well with Chris Kreider. And I like Chris Kreider in a third line role, honestly, and a power play specialist. I think that's a good transition for Kreider. He fits well with Trocheck and Gaudreau on the right wing. I like that line. I think the Rangers may try and go get a guy to fit instead of Kreider on that line to promote Kreider up again to the first line, but we'll see. But goal and assist against Vegas, as well as the solid defensive play with that new unit, definitely went with Trocheck. I think is well deserved. All right, Coach went with Halak. We went with him for D, so Little Ed left him off the board. Let's go to our highlight play of the week. There's a lot to pick from. I changed my pick mid-episode. Changed it, so there's a cross out on my board. But we'll start with Mikey. I want to start with you. What's your highlight play of the week here? There's only 2 games. What do you got?
I gotta give it to Heat's goal off the face-off. I don't think I've really seen a goal off the face-off in my lifetime live. So to see that happen live to me was something that's never happened to me. So I gotta give him the highlight play of the week.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, I've seen it in like youth hockey, but I don't think I've seen it in the NHL. I can't remember it at least. Little Ed.
Well, I crossed out something on my board too. It wasn't the person it's going to. It's a new award, kind of, or a variation of the award.
Oh,
and I
God.
didn't leave Halak off the board because he did the highlight reel of the week of the entire Vegas game. He made a few highlight reel saves that game. He kept them in it in the important times. A few 2-on-1s or like mini 2-on-1s down low where he went into almost a full split. And it says Halak the door, and I drew a picture of a door.
Halak.
Drew a picture.
Halak for the
The door.
entire Vegas game is your highlight play of the week.
I was watching the highlights before to get my highlight play. I was watching the highlights of both games, and they showed a lot. In just a 5-minute clip, they showed at least 2 or 3 big saves for Halak.
All right, I'm gonna go next. So mine was the Chytil goal on the faceoff, just like Mikey, and then I crossed it out, and I went to Capo Caco, his play on the goal on the other Chytil goal, his 3 takeaways on that shift that led to that goal, and the pass. I think Caco really made that play. Chytil definitely finished it. I'm giving him credit for that, but Caco, he's really just becoming a beast, and
I think Laffy was part of that play as well, key part, but you could leave him out.
Okay, I thought Caco really he had multiple takeaways on one shift, so I'm going with Caco for his takeaways and his puck possession skills are just out of this world. And as he gets bigger and stronger, we might have another Marian Hossa on our hands here. Coach Ed, highlight play of the week for you.
I'm going with that goal as well. Laffy getting it to Caco across the heel for the one-timer.
The whole play.
The whole play. It's a highlight play.
I'm just clarifying because sometimes you're very specific about which play and which pass or the thing. So the whole play itself.
The whole play, the way they worked together, and it was a tic-tac-toe type of play. It wasn't a greasy goal. It was a nice skill level goal.
All right, so now we're going to move on to everyone's favorite award, Coach Ed's Copyright Doghouse Award. And this award is sponsored by Suiter's Sweet Treats. We love Suiter's Sweet Treats. She sent us some more sweet treats. I got to love it. And a nice little note as well. And the Coach Ed's Doghouse Cookie came, and look at the attention to detail on this cookie. This is a cookie with a little dog as well. This is a cookie. It looks better than the graphic. No offense to Eddie for making it.
I'm starving right now.
I know, but look at that cookie. Unbelievable.
Incredible.
And fans, not to tease it, but you have an opportunity in the future to get that cookie, and we'll get into that in another episode. But yeah, sponsored by Suiter's Sweet Treats. You guys got to order these cookies, man. They are unbelievably detailed and incredible. All right. So last week, Coach Ed, you had Vitaly Kravtsov for nothing, and the 4-on-3 power play unit in your doghouse. I did not see a 4-on-3 power play in these games. I'm assuming they're still in the doghouse for that reason. Is the 4-on-3 power play unit still in the doghouse?
Well, we should have some kind of a little abbreviated doghouse where the power play thing is kind of on the back burner.
Well, in law, you call the area around your house the curtilage. I don't know if you've ever heard that phrase.
No,
the front porch, the bushes right next to the side of your house. You have protection in that area as well, not just within your home. So you can maybe move that into the curtilage of the home.
Yeah, let's do that. That's
all right.
So we don't have to mention it. But I'm putting
you don't have to mention it.
I'm putting Cousin Eddie in the doghouse because he's got Patrice Bergeron as the 3rd star in the Toronto game.
Oh, I saw that too. I didn't want to say anything.
Wow. That's bad. Okay, so before we even talk about who's in the doghouse, is Vitaly Kravtsov still in the doghouse?
How could he come out? He can't even crack the lineup.
How did he get in?
He can't even crack the lineup. He ate up the KHL, but he can't crack the lineup as a 4th-line player on the Rangers.
Okay, so I'm going to take you putting me in the doghouse for making an error on the outline as you completely failing to prepare for the episode and pick an actual player on the team for the doghouse. Is that accurate?
No, I'm leaving Kravtsov in there.
Oh, so Kravtsov is already in, but you
Right.
don't have anyone else to put in for their
No,
play
I'm not.
in the game?
I don't have to add another player.
Okay, so I'm right. Okay, so Little Ed, last week you had Sammy Blay in the doghouse. He remained in, so he was in for 2 consecutive weeks. Went down to Hartford, scored a goal. You took out the 4-on-3 power play unit because you were sick of me, and you put in Harper and Schneider as a unit. Harper and Schneider into the doghouse. So we'll start with Sammy Blay. Is Sammy Blay out of the doghouse?
Sammy Blay's out of the doghouse. He scored the goal in the AHL. That's got to hopefully take a little bit of the monkey off his back, or at least maybe not the NHL monkey, but the AHL monkey. It's a step in the right direction.
Okay, so
nice.
He's out. Is Harper and Schneider, are they out of the doghouse?
Harper and Schneider are out. Schneider for sure because he was the defensive player of the week, and Harper is doing a good job. I think they bounced back well in these last 2 games.
All right, so your doghouse is empty. Who are you putting in it?
I am going to leave it empty because everyone should be out of the doghouse and on vacation in a nice sunny island somewhere.
I love that.
So that's what I drew. Some palm trees, an island, some water, and some seagulls around the palm trees.
I can't believe you drew it. You got to do that every week now. You literally were doing that as a joke, but you've literally set yourself up now where you have to be creative every week with a drawing now. So
all right. I'll do my best. I will do my best.
Okay. So I will Mike, I don't want to make you go last again. Did I make you go last time?
That's fine.
You can go. You can go. So last week you had an empty doghouse. You took Laffy out. So your doghouse is currently empty. So there's no one to take out. Is anybody going in?
No person is going into the doghouse, but I am putting something into the doghouse. And that something is Coach Ed's laptop for never working. And I'm going to make it my goal to make sure that Coach Ed's laptop gets out of the doghouse for next episode.
Wait a second. Who actually got me this laptop?
Like I said, I'm going to make it my goal to get the laptop out of the doghouse.
Let's just verify that. I know nothing about buying this stuff. You guys did a very nice thing and got me a new one.
Coach, hold on. You're being let's break this down. I want to break and analyze this. This is what I do, right? So I want to analyze this. So Mike puts your laptop, not you, but your laptop into the doghouse for sucking. Mike and Eddie bought you the laptop. You didn't pay for it. They got you this laptop in the first place, and you're getting defensive of your crappy laptop? Is that really what just happened?
If you're putting my laptop in the doghouse, you're blaming me for my laptop.
No, it's just the laptop.
He just put the laptop in. He didn't put you in. He said the laptop.
Not the operator, which might be at fault as well, but we'll see. The OG drawing Eddie Jockerman.
We got to bring out the memorabilia corner again.
I did this
drawing. I was going to tease it before. I was going to tease it before.
Drawing in 8th grade, by the way.
Shout out to my boy Mike up in Connecticut, the cards guy.
So I just want to break this down for the fans before I go. Currently in the doghouse is me for making a mistake on the outline.
2 weeks in a row. 2 weeks in a row.
Vitaly Kravtsov for nothing. And Coach Ed's laptop. That's the doghouse right now. Whereas I put an actual Ranger in the doghouse for their play on the ice. Mika Zibanejad.
You're all about professionalism, man.
That's ridiculous.
I'm going with Mika Zibanejad, whose 5-on-5 numbers this year are not great. He's got 22 goals, 27 assists, so he's a point per game on the season. But when you break it down, he's got 13 power play goals and 8 power play assists. That's 21 of his 49 points are on the power play. Only 8 even strength goals in 49 games. It's just not going to cut it. Come playoff time, Mika last year I thought really rose to the occasion, particularly at the end of the Pittsburgh series and in the Carolina series. So I want that to happen again. But his even strength play this year, not up to snuff. And you look at these two games and you look at who's carrying the weight. You got the kid line carrying the weight, Kakko, Laffy, Chytil. And then you got the third line, Trocheck and Kreider, Chytil, Jimmy Vesey, right? All over the board. I don't see Mika's name. Mika's playing with Artemi Panarin. It could be a Zibanejad Panarin duo in the doghouse, honestly. But I feel like we've crapped on Panarin enough. I expect more from Mika Zibanejad. You know, if he's going to be that second-tier elite player, right? We all agree he's not an Austin Matthews or a Connor McDavid. He's a second-tier hitter, and we need him at even strength to get some points consistently. So, you know, in these two games, I don't know. Not feeling it.
Comment on that pick?
Of course you can. You're going to shit on it because you shit on everything, I think. So go for it.
Who scored for Toronto that game?
Mitch Marner.
Yeah.
Who else? Not Matthews. I know that's your point, I'm sure.
That's my point. Not Tavares. Not Tavares, not Matthews. So
and who lined up with Matthews?
So Zibanejad had other responsibilities that game.
No, probably Trocheck's line.
Not every time he could line up with Tavares and Matthews.
Okay.
So not every game is his responsibility to score. We talk about him as a Selke candidate, and that's what he did a great job in that Toronto game, I thought.
I didn't like his play.
All right,
against Toronto, Mika was a minus one.
Doghouse picks. I'm critiquing yours.
Against Toronto, Mika was a -1. Well, your doghouse pick was me, Coach, and I didn't critique it. I just laughed at how stupid that is. But Mika was a -1 with 2 shots on goal. Okay, against Vegas, he was a -1 with 3 shots on goal. No goals.
Maybe the other team is keying on stopping him, and that's opening up Chytil.
I get that, but he's supposed to be our elite number 1 center. Every team keys in on Matthews, McDavid, Crosby, all those guys. They key on those guys, and they still put up points every single game. I expect Mika not just to be a defensive guy. He's not paid $8.5 million to shut down Matthews. He's paid that to produce at even strength, not just on the power play. And 8 even strength goals on the season. No points in these 2 games. It's a 2-game doghouse award. So it's pretty, I'm not saying he's in a huge slump or anything. I've liked his play recently, but in these 2 games, I expect more. That's all. That's my pick.
I didn't get to see the Vegas game on TV, like I said before. Did anything happen between Will Cuylle and this other guy during the first period?
I didn't see anything like that, but I saw it on the face-off where they fought. They were chirping.
That's what could he be saying to him?
I have a feeling, and I don't know, maybe I'm off base here, but I have a feeling Kolizar was just like, "Hey, you think you're a tough kid?" And he was just like, "Yeah, I dropped the gloves." And he was like, "Well, it's your second game. You want to fight?" Like, I don't know. Like, what else could it be? Like, what could have happened that made them fight? Like, he maybe threw the kid a bone and was like, "Yo, let's drop the gloves," and Cuylle answered. I don't know.
I mean,
what else could it be?
When you look at the clip, like the first picture is Cuylle saying something to him.
Mm-hmm. Maybe he's like, "Hey, you want to fight?" Maybe Cuylle brought it up. I don't know.
I wonder if they have like a history back in juniors or something.
No, I don't think so. I mean, Kolizar is I think Kolizar is a little older. I don't think they would have played in juniors. I think it was just Cuylle wanting to fight and Kolizar being willing to answer it, but I don't know. So overall, I'm not gonna lie, headline, which is crazy that I'm entirely thrilled. I was hoping to pick some different guys, but Mikey stole Leach. Leach was going to be my guy. I was like, I have to get Leach, and then I'm good.
You had the chance to get Leach?
No, Mikey took him right before me. I didn't.
Oh, you took him first round, Mike?
Mikey took him first round. So I missed out on Leach, and it threw me off completely. So
I was torn between Messi and Leach, but I went with Messi.
Can't blame you for that, Coach. Your team's pretty good. All right, so let's. We got the 150. We got Mikey P. Did he do the 150 this week?
He did.
He's back. He's working full time again.
Full time every week.
All right,
let's
throw it over.
Mikey's gonna be crying. Mikey's gonna be crying in the 150 because I think they're on a little bit of a slide.
Oh boy, let's see if he's willing to talk some smack about his own team.
Cousin Ed's prediction may be holding up.
It wasn't a prediction. I just questioned the Bruins.
All right, well, whatever your statement.
Let's bring it over to Mikey.
The trivia. It's time to throw it over to Mikey P with your Rangers Ed 150, the fastest 150 seconds in the National Hockey Podcast League.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Rangers Ed 150. First off, some sad news out of the show. NHL legend Bobby Hull, the Golden Jet, has passed away this week at the age of 84. Hull played 1,063 games in the NHL, tallying 610 goals, 560 assists, 1,170 points, 640 penalty minutes, 3 Art Ross trophies, 2 Hart trophies, a Lady Byng, and a Stanley Cup ring. So pretty notable career there. He also played 411 games in the WHA, tallying 303 goals, 335 assists, and 638 points. Hull was a legend not only in the Blackhawks organization, but across the NHL, and he will always be remembered as one of the best to do it. Big news breaking last night on the NHL trade front with Bo Horvat moving from Vancouver over to the island in exchange for Anthony Beauvillier, Atu Rati, a top 12 protected 2023 first-round pick, and retention of 25% of Horvat's cap hit. It's a big move for the Isles, who are sitting in 21st in goals scored and 25th in goals scored per game, sitting at 2.85. Lou Lamoriello did say last week that the failure of this team was on him, so good on him for sticking to his word and going out and doing something about it. Breaking news aside, out west in the Pacific Division, the Vegas Golden Knights have finally surrendered first place to the Seattle Kraken. Vegas is 2-6-2 through their last 10, and as we said last week, they seem to just be wandering through the halfway point of the season heading into the All-Star break. The Seattle Kraken, on the other hand, haven't really slowed down since the outset and have been riding a steady ship all the way up to this point. Outside the race for the top, the team to watch in this division right now is, without a doubt, the Edmonton Oilers. Connor McDavid is having one of the best seasons on record since the Gretzky era, and the Oilers have clawed their way up into fourth place after an extremely poor start to the season. Calgary Flames also had an extremely poor start to the season, but they're in the hunt, only 3 points behind the Oilers. In this division, the top 5 teams are separated by only 6 points, so keep an eye on the Pacific as we move on down the stretch and the playoffs get closer. In the Central Division, nothing has changed since last week, with Dallas sitting up top, followed by Winnipeg and Minnesota, and then Colorado. Lots of talk surrounding the Blues, Coyotes, and Blackhawks before the trade deadline, with guys like O'Reilly, Tarasenko, Parayko, Barbashev, Chychrun, Kane, and Taves all likely up for grabs for a playoff-bound squad for the right price. So keep an eye on that as teams assess their needs going into the playoffs. Also, keep an eye on the Colorado Avalanche. This team has been real quiet all season, mainly due to injuries and losing some notable guys in the offseason, but they're finally starting to get healthy. We'll likely see Landeskog towards the end of the season, and these guys are still a serious cup contender. Seems like a lot of people have forgotten about them, sitting right in the middle of the division standings, but they are still a really good team, so watch out for Colorado. Back east in the Atlantic Division, the Boston Bruins have finally showed signs of mortality, putting up a 0-2-1 record since we last talked. They dropped an OT game to the Panthers, they dropped a tight one to the Lightning, and got smoked by Carolina on Saturday. Boston has Toronto on Tuesday, so look for them to bounce back in a nice original 6 tilt, although Austin Matthews will be sidelined for Toronto. Elsewhere, the Leafs and Lightning are still in the 2 and 3 spots, and the race for the wild card is going to be a tight one, with Buffalo and Florida fighting for that second wild card spot. In the Metro Division, Carolina is 4 points ahead of the Devils for the number 1 spot, while the Rangers are sitting in 3rd place at 4 points ahead of the 5th place Washington Capitals. Right now, the top 5 teams in the wild card race are separated by 4 points, with Washington and Pittsburgh leading the pack at 58 and 57 points respectively, followed by the Sabres Islanders and Panthers at 56, 55, and 54 points. Wild card aside, the Metro Division has tightened up significantly in the last couple weeks, especially with Philly putting together a decent run at 5-3-2 through their last 10. Putting every team in this division, aside from Columbus, in a position to potentially make the playoffs. Even the Flyers, who've been abysmal all season, are only 6 points out of a wild card spot, and there's lots of hockey to be played yet, so things are likely to tighten up even more in the Metro. We got lots of good hockey coming up, all-star skills competition and round-robin tournament this weekend, so tune in for a good show, and until next week, this has been your 150.
Before we get into
I love that. Love that. That was a great job. You know, speaking of the All-Star game, I'll be at the All-Star game. It's in Miami this year. I got my tickets. So I'll be there rooting on the Metro and Shesterkin, Foxy, and Panarin. And I didn't get my skills competition tickets yet, but I'll be there as well for sure. And I'm looking for Panarin to do something wild in that skills competition.
He'll definitely do something in the shootout. But,
He's got to be in the shootout, right?
Yeah, the passing probably too. Don't they usually do the passing drill or something like the obstacle
They're
course?
gonna have a skills competition for giveaways cross ice in the neutral zone.
Come on, Coach. Foxy would probably be in the passing, Ed, I think. Foxy.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, for sure.
But we'll see. I'm looking forward to Panarin with some theatrics. I think he'll do something kind of crazy.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
We'll see. But all right. Let's jump over to the
I'm a little
trivia.
disappointed. Mike didn't say anything about the Bruins.
Yeah, he did.
What, that they were on a slide? I missed it?
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Well,
They're on an 0-2-1 slice, and they got smoked by Carolina on Saturday.
all right. I'm only good for 150 seconds, so Mike does it a little longer than that.
He pushed the envelope.
I
Yeah.
stopped paying attention after that. All right, let's jump over.
Pass on that because he swims with sharks.
Let's jump over to the trivia. Mikey Constantine.
Wrap it up, boys. Wrap it up.
Do it. Let's do
Dropping last names.
it. Edit it out. What do you want me to say?
Not his last name.
All right. In honor of the All-Star break, I got another All-Star trivia question, courtesy of Poppy O'Neill's Rangers trivia calendar.
The one that Little Ed studied before giving to you?
This is the exact same one, yeah.
The one that Cousin Ed's been looking for on eBay so he could start studying.
What year is that?
What calendar is that? Go for it.
What player represented the New York Rangers in the 2017 NHL All-Star game that was held at the Staples Center in Los Angeles?
2017. Oof.
Little Ed's got Hank. Coach Ed's got Hank. Cuz has got Rick Nash. We got 0 points in trivia this week. Correct answer is Ryan McDonough.
Oh, I was going between McDonough and Nash. I honestly didn't even think of Hank, which is worrisome. I should have thought of that. You got to extend that Jeopardy a little bit. The Jeopardy thing is a little quick, I think.
Cousin has got something to say about Jeopardy every time, or trivia every time.
Well, first when it took me a long time, we had to shorten it. Now that he needs more time, we got to lengthen it.
Offers in the last 2 weeks for everybody. Damn, tough couple of questions, Mikey.
We do have to extend it because now I need time to do my little drawing.
All right, so we got the All-Star Game festivities this week. The Rangers don't come back until February 6th. Love it. That's quick,
Crown.
too. They don't come back till February 6th, home against Calgary. So we will be back to talk about the All-Star Game on next week. So what's that going to be? I'm just looking at the numbers here. That'll be Thursday. We'll have the Flames and the Canucks to talk about in the All-Star Game, and we'll be back then. So look for that episode. Definitely check out Oscar's Pro Stitch Hockey on Instagram and Suiter's Sweet Treats as well. You guys got to order these
On
cookies. I'm telling
Etsy,
you.
go over to Suitors Sweets and More. If you search Suitors Sweet Treats on Etsy, you won't find it. So it's Suitors Sweets and More on Etsy.
And on Instagram, Suitors Sweet Treats and Oscar.
Correct.
Oscar's PSH on Instagram. Check it out. Guy makes phenomenal jerseys, and he's a cool dude. So check it out and support him as well. And check us out on Instagram as well at Rangers_ed.pod. Thanks, fans, for listening. Another good week. I'm excited. We get a little bit of a break. I kind of miss Rangers hockey, honestly, but it is nice to have a little bit of a break from that as well. I'm not going to lie. Just clear my head, get ready for the playoff stretch here and the trade deadline. We got a lot to talk about. It's going to be an exciting end of the season, and we'll see where the Rangers end up. Right now, pretty good odds to make the playoffs. Hopefully they can finish it off and get in, and we'll see where they land.
Now my big dilemma of the night is I have to go upstairs and see which sweet treat cookie I'm going to eat.
Well, you can't eat the doghouse one.
I don't have that one yet. I left it by Eddie's, but I'll be picking. I'll probably eat the Stanley Cup one or something.
I haven't put mine in the shadow box yet because Meg suggested to put it in a shadow box to preserve it. So I didn't do that yet.
And
I have them in the fridge to keep it.
I might pick up a shadow box tomorrow.
They're in the fridge to preserve it for now until I can either get a shadow box or figure out what to do.
I'm going to emboss it on a plate
and place it next.
Glaze it on a plate. But all right, good episode, boys. It's been fun, and I'll catch up with you guys later. Let's go Rangers! Enjoy the All Star game, fans. Check it out. Make sure
you enjoy the All Star game as well.
Don't worry, I'll get you souvenirs, Coach. I'll get you some souvenirs.
I want the patch.
Hopefully, Panarin could flip the puck on top of the net during the All Star game.
Hope he
practices enough.
I hope he hits the net during the shootout. I'll be satisfied with him hitting the net at this point. But anyway, I'll enjoy the game. You guys enjoy it on TV, and we'll catch up next week. Love you guys.
Let's go Rangers. Let's go Metro.